This is my third take. So forgive me if I summarize. My name is Misha Hilton, and I'm going to begin with the redesign task. The redesign of the level one to get it under 2 minutes. However, it's around three, maybe in 3 minutes and 30 seconds or so if I speed run through it. In this description, it will pretty much be reiterated in the subtask. So I'm going to read this description and go over the subtask completion criteria. Probably won't go over the description again in the subtask. So this task is meant to reduce the level down to at least 2 minutes. For the golden path from the wooded area, the player should be able to reach the airlock within 50 seconds, learning how to use teleportation, floating, and understand the ghost and human HUD. From the airlock, the player should be able to reach the hallway within 20 seconds, interacting with the lever, handle, and keypad. They will also learn about crouching and ghosts taking their consciousness. This is not going to be in the airlock, it'll be in the hallway. The players should only be in the hallway for 10 or less seconds, realizing they need to enter the shooting range. They will see that the control room is malfunctioning, which that is not going to be in it either. Cancel on that. So the control room door won't be malfunctioning, but there will be a turret in front of it that will deter them from just heading into the control room, which heads to the flight deck where they need to go. It'll deter them to go to the weapons testing room to pick up the weapons to shoot the turret. But so while they're inside the weapon testing room, players should spend 30 seconds collecting and testing the laser gun. And that is about it, because the push and the pull blocks to reach the weapons, that has been removed. And so back in the hallway, the player can now stop the control room door. But that, like I said, that's been removed for time. They should be able to shoot the turret that's up there. However, they won't be able to get up to the control room because there is going to be broken stairs, and they need to use the ghost that's in the hallway in order to place a soda machine in the gap to reach the top of the stairs. So when I click on this first subtask, I did create an obstacle to use the floating ability of the ghost, and I added action indicators in the ghost minimap, but the minimap is no longer there. But I did design a trail that shows up by pressing the F button, what is called foresight, and that brings up the trail and the action indicators. And that updated the ghost HUD to reflect those new buttons: the floating, teleportation, the foresight, and reviving. The human HUD is updated for prompts like jump, sprint, interact. And any changes from the initial planning is commented out. So in the airlock, I was going to spawn a ghost and have them phase through the sliding doors, which I did, but removed for time. The map that's in the supposed to be in the room door needs to be swapped out to the actual map. The what holds the map is there, but I put two TV screens there. Didn't know which one I wanted to be the map, and forgot to actually choose one. And here the objective for the human is updated as well. I did add a dangerous element to the airlock, intros the saw mechanic, and like I said, any other changes is going to be commented out from the initial planning. So we'll go back up, go into the hallway, which is the main corridor, and we will see in the level when I demo it. The player should be in a hallway for less than 10 or less for 10 or less seconds. And again, I won't go over that because I went over that in the description of the actual redesign task. So the hallway area, they will not be disabling the control room door. They won't be making the keypad. I didn't make the keypad vulnerable to the laser or the grenade just yet. The reason why this wasn't implemented is because there's a stamina weapons balancing test that we wanted to wait before we decided to go further with the laser gun or not. So the weapons room door is no longer phasable. It's just part way open. The player can go under and get into the door and get the weapons to shoot the turret that's in front of the control room door. All this was to save time. Um, Instead of adding the turrets to the hallways down to the briefing room, I just blocked the briefing room. Instead of killing the player and making them go back to the ship, um, I just removed the turrets and blocked the brief room so the player can't access the rest of the base. And all the changes are commented there. I'll jump up to the weapons testing area, and here the push and pull ability for the ghost was removed for time. I did add the grenade pit to test the grenades on, and I added the grenades and tutorial signs for the grenades. I did add a gun rack to block the door, and like I said, these push and pull abilities that was removed, as well as to create a blockage in the door to make the ghost teleport. You could just walk in and out. And now let's head into the control room. It's much simpler. We did remove the levitation and the ghosts in the room and the blocks to block the exit for time, and just updated the flight plan board, and I will show you that in the demonstration. Okay, so let's go ahead and demo. Okay.
Mayday, Mayday, pilot unresponsive, ship out of control, prepare for crash landing.
Okay.
Warning, psychological vitals decreasing.
Okay, so the text to screen is added breadcrumb trails to help the player along with a tutorial of this actual ghost. So if they press and hold, that is the trail I was telling you about, and the action indicators. This one is to teleport. So if you press and hold the right mouse button in the bottom right, you see it change from right mouse button to teleport. This is telling me to hold shift to float. So I'll show you where I added the floating obstacle that wasn't here before, which is here. Before, the player was able to just walk into the ship. Now they must float into the ship. Okay, and once they
Hold
get
R to
here,
initiate revival procedure.
it activates the R procedure that
Ship status,
revives.
unrepairable damage, inoperable. Objectives, updated.
So the objectives updated is something that was added to the. Okay. Added to the human HUD. So at the bottom, you can see I added another piece to the human HUD so it can sprint. Before it said press spacebar to jump, but kind of automatically do that. You probably wouldn't even notice. So I sprinted there. Right now, you're hearing sanity effect. That's because my sanity top left is low, and so you start hearing things and seeing things. So I'm gonna try and replenish that before it actually becomes a problem. Some zany pop. So this zany pop removes these.
Warning, damage critical. When suit is damaged, oxygen leaks from the suit. Increased voltage levels increases oxygen depletion. Objectives, updated.
Okay, so now my sanity has been replenished, and all those sounds and stuff and visual effects have gone away.
Main hatch opening.
Here in this maintenance hatch, I redesigned it to let the player know that the hatch was closed, and when they open it, that is open. However, if they try to close this hatch, you can see there's rocks in front of it. But if they do try it,
Maintenance hatch malfunction.
it's in
Please use main
malfunction.
hatch.
It's because the rocks are in there. Now the elevator does take you up, but that door won't open because this hatch is open and cannot close. So they need to go to the main hatch, and that voiceover told you to go to the main hatch. So this is the main hatch here. They entered here and they can close the hatch.
Main hatch closing.
So I added voiceovers to help the player along with some player facing information. So this is where the map was supposed to go. And I'll show you what it looks like later on in the level because they are in every area. This is the dangerous element I added so that it introduces the saw mechanic. I'm not going to go over there because I am damaged, but I'm not losing oxygen. I'm losing oxygen pretty fast, but not fast enough that it's concerning. Oh, so the standard operating procedure is to close the door, seal the handle, and then to enter the passcode.
Base status. Life support disabled. AI. Malfunctioning. Flight deck clear. Ready for departure.
Objectives updated.
Okay, so you can see that that's functioning, so it tells you to crouch to go under. So, crouching got under here. So that is the turret that's blocking the control room. This is the soda machine that you'll need to put in the middle to jump to. And the briefing room is down this way, blocked by this turret. Avoid him. And this is the map I was telling you about. It's going to be in the airlock, it's in the weapons room, it's in the control room as well. And the briefing room is right here, or the observation room, and it's blocked. Very dark down here too, so it's clearly not clear to go. I am going to repair my damage taken. Oh. That ghost was blocking me. So I repaired that damage, and I'm going to replenish my oxygen. So here's some ammo. As you can see, I have no ammo. So I picked the ammo that reloads. I pick up my grenades. So when I shoot this turret down there, his barrels goes away. He's destroyed. What this does, area and it disables him. This does the same thing as the grenade, but at a further range. When you pick it up, it's a laser pistol, so it's 3 rounds. Disabling round. Disabled. So as you can see, this turret over here is back active. But to swap to it, secondary is a mouse scroll. And you can see in the bottom left, it turned to an actual rifle for 3 shots, and the pistol was the actual gun. He is deactivated. So, the grenade and the laser was meant to deactivate that time, and depending on the design. So let's go ahead and so he's going to give you a dialogue, and he said he remembers he was thirsty, and where was he? And this is his body. So when he collects his fragment, his memory fragment, he says, "Oh, I see, I was killed," and he was killed by that turret because the AI was malfunctioning. He just wanted some soda pop, and you know he's gonna keep talking, giving you his stories right before he died. And he's going to be looking for the soda machine. This is the soda machine. So you pick it up and you place it. Let's place it here. All right. And I'm going to return to the body because, yep, going crazy. So I'm going to go down here and get this zany pop. Just get that. And so I'm gonna go ahead and
low stamina.
get on this.
When stamina is too low, jumping and sprinting are restricted. When stamina is depleted, excess oxygen is expended.
I disabled him. I wanted to take him out. So I took him out, and then I get to this keypad, 2, 10. And here I am in the control room, which is pretty easy. This is the flight plan board to Asteroid X, which is the next level. It's an emergency takeoff, and it's in that belt. Here's the map. Okay, and we'll just head to the next level. That'll be the end of the redesign for level
Warning,
1.
low oxygen.
What I'm going to do is go over the bug task because in the next level it's easier to demonstrate it. Okay, so the first bug task was that as a player, I want to be able to see a prompt to return to my body if I'm a ghost every time. So the issue was that it didn't pop up every single time. And so what we did was just remove the widget prompt pop up and use the helmet to display the prompts the player needs to take. So in doing so, I'll show you what the actual prompt looks like, the widget prompt. The widget prompt looked like this R. So when I walked over the player body, it was supposed to pop up, and then I would press the R in order to return. But we just got rid of that in lieu of the revive icon there at the bottom right when you're a ghost. So you see the revive down there, and you can return to your body anywhere. You don't need to go to your body to actually return. So we decided to do that instead. Now the next bug was, as a player, I want to be able to see one prompt at a time and have them disappear when that action is invalid. So the issue was that sometimes the interaction prompt remained on the screen, and so it hid the other action prompts behind it. So the player didn't know what to do. It just kept saying E. So that same widget that you seen that was an R used to be an E, and everything behind it used to any other actions, like when I had to pick up the soda machine where the little mouse button action popped up, would go behind it. So once we got rid of the actual action prompts and started using the helmet for the human, because the issue was in the human HUD, or the when you was a human, the E would stay up. So when we decided to use the prompt in the helmet, that fixed the problem. Okay, so next we're gonna go into the stamina test level. I had to design this level in order for the test. So the test itself, the design team wanted to test the stamina system. The stamina system is to gauge that restricts jumping if it falls below a certain amount and stops sprinting when that reaches 0. So we wanted to test the players' engagement and player in the choices that they make in the past. However, I didn't do 2 tests for that. I only needed the 1 test for it. So I didn't need to do an A/B test. It was just a singular test for the mechanic itself. And it was 3 areas, and each area, the questions asked about the jumping, the sprinting, and then the overall stamina system. I compiled the playtesters' response through the 3 sections. I created a Google form, which is this form here, which asks the name, the age, and the 3 questions here. I did offer them the choice to upload a video, which none of them did. So my internal questions, like were there any verbal complaints I was unable to do because they didn't want to upload any videos. I couldn't see how many times they died, but I could ask them how many times they died, but that was irrelevant. And they did complete the test because they was able to answer all 3 questions. We did wind up rebalancing the stamina and removing the jumping that consumed stamina. The responses here in the spreadsheet, we determined from their frustrations about the jumping that that was probably the most problematic. to the stamina system. And so now jumping no longer consumes stamina. However, if you are low on stamina, you aren't able to jump. And of course, you aren't able to sprint. So I will show you that. We will go to the main menu so I can go to the stamina test so I can actually show you the level as well. But first, I will show you that jumping no longer consumes stamina. So, sprinting consumes stamina. Jumping does not. Okay. So, sprinting in the top left consumes stamina. Jumping did not. Not sure if you was able to hear me over the saws. We'll go back over to the task so that I can explain the areas that I created in the stamina testing level task. So I added rotating cylinders to attach the death traps to. I have saws circling inside the first area to make them jump over platforms. The second area, I added hammers that will stop the player while a turret is shooting them to test their sprinting capabilities. And I didn't need to make two builds. I only need to do the one version. And for the third floor, I had a mixture of the hammers, the saws, and added a new element of dropping boxes on them. Also, there's turrets as well up there. So let me show you the level. This is the first level for which has the saws and the platforms to jump on.
Warning, damage critical. When suit is damaged, oxygen leaks from the suit. Increased damage levels.
Alright, so you see,
Unable to
I
revive.
got there, I
Pilot
died.
J. Hall, deceased.
So, the second level, much quieter up here. Second level has the hammers to test their sprint.
Warning, damage critical.
Did not get the weapon.
When suit is damaged, oxygen
go.
leaks from the suit. Warning,
So,
damage critical. Unable to revive. Pilot J. Hall, deceased.
okay, so they're not speedy there. The consumption of the stamina. They weren't speedy on the second floor with consumption of the stamina. And they wouldn't have made it to level 3. But this is the area 3. It has a mixture of the saws and the hammers.
Damage
The
critical.
added dropping of the boxes. Okay, so I took the easy route of jumping up to the top. It's easy because this was taken after the damage rebalancing test, and so those boxes were meant to take me or kill me in 2 hits. However, the damage has been greatly reduced. So from here, if they reach it to the final level, they are able to click the stamina test, and it brings them here. And then again, here is the response. And there's my 10 players and their responses, their names, and their age range. And I believe that is it for my JIRA task. Thank you for watching.
Hello, my name is Justin Larson, and I'm going to be going over a few things that I was working on for this past sprint, for the balancing sprint. So let's dive on into it. I'm coming from my most recent build for Ghost Core version 0.20. So, um, first of all, we're going to go into level selection. We're going to start on level 2 actually, because um, part of this, most of my work was uh, effects on this level more than anything else. So the first thing that I'm going to uh, talk about is more or less my unfinished bit here, which was trying to balance out the UI and whatnot. So essentially, I was trying to create alternate UIs because there have been some complaints about maybe the visor being a bit too thick, too full, so on and so forth. So what I wound up doing was creating an alternate helmet and also adjusting the Ghost UI a little bit as well. I was not able to fully finish this, um, so this is as far as I was able to get with it, due to other bugs and things that I had to get fixed and worked on as well. Um, but as far as this goes, I spent about a day, 1 day, 6 hours, working on getting an alternate configuration set up for the helmet, as well as getting the Ghost UI to show character stats off screen. This actually took a lot of time just because it wound up being a more daunting task than I thought it was going to be the original way I wanted to do it. So first of all, we'll go with the helmet. Um, you'll see that I was able to create an alternate form of the UI, make it a little bit more open. It actually wasn't really well received. Um, so people still seem to like this one, even though it's a lot bulkier. Um, let's see, and now let's go into um, the Ghost HUD. So you'll notice in the top left corner, you'll see player stats, right? The original reason for having to implement this was because there was a bit of confusion as to what these stats were for. Was it for the ghost or was it for the player? So when you look at the player, those stats go away in the top left of the screen, and now they pop up onto the player. When you look away, there they go right back up onto the top of the screen. So that was just to give a little bit better player facing information as far as that goes. I originally was trying to figure out how to get it to just stay on the edge of the screen, but that was proving to be a daunting task. So moving on from this, let's go ahead and revive. The next part, the next bit that I worked on was the the visor bug. That's right. So essentially, the visor is supposed to pop up um, electrical signals and things like that, but it's also supposed to act as a night vision, which before it really didn't. It was just green tint. So I also am going to cut in a video here to show you a better video as far as that goes. All right, so here's a snippet of how the night vision worked before. So this is the pretty much the dark area of the factory. And as you can see, in fact, it was not night vision, and it was the opposite before, really. Made everything a lot darker. You could see the electrical signals a bit easier, in my opinion, I think, because of it, but that was just because the exposure was pretty bad. Let's see. So the way it's working now As you can see, we're in a pretty brightly lit room, so the exposure on this is very strong. But as would be with standard night vision. So let's go in a little bit of a darker room so you can see how it works. You can see off into that shadow, that darkened area. And now we have some very clearly lit wall, which was black before. So as long as there's a little bit of light in the room, just a little bit, it will actually pop up with some night vision, as in night vision's nature is supposed to be. So it's actually working a bit better as far as night vision goes. The next thing we're going to go over. Also with the whole night vision bit, um, this one only took me about 4 hours to work on. Dark vision beforehand, the dark vision aspect didn't really exist. The expected result, the visor needs to be amplify light levels and things like that. But the only thing it does is actually highlight specific objects. So as you can see, that's more or less fixed. It still needs a little bit of tweaking to make it perfect, but that may also be in level design too, because there are some rooms that are very dark that it just doesn't pick up on, but I think that's because there's no light in there, period. This next one is creating sanity effects. So in this, I added sanity effects to confuse the player, add an aura of psychological feeling to the game. And I wanted to get at least 4 sanity effects in there. Each effect should be harmless, but significantly and shouldn't significantly alter the player control. So um, there might be some that may kind of cause you to stop a little bit, and that is okay on that because of the way they work. And the whole point behind the whole sanity effect was to add that feeling of um, that psychological aspect to the game. There should also be some sort of cue knowing when the sanity event is over with. So let's go jump into that. First of all, I have to make the player insane. Now, this was something I should have put a bullet on, but sanity effect should happen once sanity has gotten down to 50%. So, the way we lose sanity in this game is by using the ghost too much. So, in this case, you can see that sanity has dropped down below 50. So now sanity events start occurring. As you can see, I'm not sure if you can pick up on the audio portion of this, but there are some creepy sounds in the background and whatnot. Uh, as you can see, your vision's getting a bit distorted. Now, you'll notice I have like a little debug up there. It's supposed to happen 33% of the time every 15 seconds. A sanity event should occur. This is the first one. Here's another one. Uh-oh. Oh, there it is. So that is a sanity orb that it's supposed to be a picture of the, I guess you could say, the antagonist of the game. Let's see if we can get any of the others. That was a repeat of one of them. And that was the third one. The last one are some footsteps. As I said, they happen at random, so we can't really. It's going to be hard to kind of test that one out. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Maybe we'll be able to see the footsteps one. So the last one is finishing the player helmet logic. So one of the things about the helmet is that when sanity got down too low, well, to zero, essentially the player is supposed to basically go mad and crazy, remove their helmet, throw it on the ground, and then wind up suffocating to death. That's how you die from sanity, at least with our little select. And here you can kind of see where I'm starting to have audio distortion. So I'm going to try and explain further with a little bit of an audio overlap. So you're supposed to have an indication that sanity death is occurring. The visor shuts off on the player with a hallucinatory image, and the character removes the helmet, leading to death. I spent about 5 hours working on this, and yeah, that's what I'm trying to point out there. Um, and also trying to uh, explain that the helmet should have also had a prompt that updates objectives and interactions. So with this, had 4 sanity effects, had to work on them, and yeah. And at this point, I believe we wind up falling into having a bit of a bug issue here, which was a bit comical. It's a new little bug there. So yeah, right there. After this, the audio kind of clears up, so should be good. Well, this is Why did this? All right. I'm going to show you how it's supposed to work. I don't know what happened there. I might have suffocated. For some reason, the build didn't like that checkpoint. That's all I can think of. So, here's what we're going to do. Go back to the asteroid. But that's a new bug. That's something I can get done for next sprint. All right, so let's go back to this. Basically using up all my sanity. And this is the sanity death. So, and that's what that was supposed to be. One of the main reasons why I put a lot of focus into sanity in this one is that we've had the sanity event the entire game, the sanity meter the entire game, yet we never really did anything with it, except use it as a way of making the player not be able to use the ghost anymore. So I put in a significant amount of focus into the whole sanity event, to help make everything a bit more cohesive, give more meaning to what we were trying to do in the beginning, and to bring in the psychological aspect of the game, which was very limited before. So, all right, I hope you enjoyed the video. I think that pretty much covers it. Yep, no, I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time.
Hey, my name is Gerald Goodrich, and this is a demonstration of what I did this week in the sprint. Let me go ahead and get the project open so I can in the background. while I go over the task real quick. Alright, the first one I'm going to show is the sound effects and music slider. And I also added in a brightness control for the screen that I forgot to add in here, but I'm going to show it to you anyways. And these are really simple. It needed to be adjustable and save on exit and re-entry to the options menu. Demonstrate that. Let's start with the sound effect. It now plays a sound that gets lower as the dial gets lower. And then if I hit apply settings, go back in, it saves the value. Alright, that's working. Music doesn't play a sound, but you can see as you slide it, it gets lower. And then if you hit apply settings and then go back into it, it stays the same. And screen brightness, this one took me a little while to figure out. It's still not 100%, but it does brighten and darken the screen significantly. And then when you hit confirm settings and go back in, it keeps its position. Alright, now let's look at another task. For this one right here, I needed to do the weapons test. And to leave the decision to the player on which weapon is preferred, we will set up a test with 2 separate builds. I didn't make separate builds, I just put it in 2 separate levels. One with the BB gun as primary and the other with the laser gun as primary. And to discover which is the preferred weapon, we are going to pose a test for each. The test will involve a series of rooms. For the room, first we'll have stationary enemies, the second will have moving enemies, and the third will have a combination of both. The purpose of this test is to distinguish the preferred method of gunplay for the player. Mainly, do they prefer destroying or disabling the enemies? This test should shed light on the way players prefer to play the game. The following questions will be posed to the testers. How did the weapon feel to use? Did the weapon respond how you felt it should? How did the fighting the enemies feel? Do you feel ammo is too scarce or that the weapon took too long to recharge? And which is your preferred weapon style? And this is data to be collected on both variations of the test, the number of total enemies in each playthrough, total number of player deaths in each playthrough, amount of damage taken by the player, and total enemies disabled. That one's more specific to the laser gun side of the test. The completion criteria is to create an Excel sheet to track the data. I'll show that in just a second. 10 unique tests completed and data tracked on the sheet, and the data is compiled and presented and documented on Confluence. I'm still working on that part. As for the test data itself, it is right here. I have it set up with the testers right here, the date they tested, and whether the video was on Discord or not. And then the questions right here with the answers underneath it. And then the final right here. Overall, I believe there was 2 people that, or maybe even 1 person that preferred the laser gun. But there was problems with both of them, so they both need a lot of work. And discussing it with the team, we decided we would probably just take the laser gun and make it into like a tool that the player could use for things like different levers and things like that. And let's see, what other tasks did I have this week? Redesigning level 3. To lessen the amount of time it takes to get through the level, redesign is needed. Ideal level length is at max 3 minutes. With new design, I believe this is achievable. The golden path will be more obvious, and the level and the time it takes to traverse the level will be cut significantly. The level will take roughly 2 minutes and 30 seconds to complete with the new redesign, and I'm hoping it makes the level more easily traversable to players. The primary mechanic in this level is the push and pull ability and the lever powered doors. My intentions behind this area on level 3, the player has already collected the different memory fragments to unlock the abilities for the astral projection so they would be readily available for the player to use. This was the flow map to the previous design on the level, and it took a lot longer than 10 minutes to get through it. And then we decided, well, we found out that the game in its entirety needed to be 10 minutes. So I consolidated the entire level into this. And there are roughly like 7 or 8 different areas that I had to make to go to make the entire level. And the total time it took me was 3 days and 7 hours. The level itself didn't go into the game, so we are going to just play through the level real quick and take a look at it. This is the starting area, it's the entrance to the mine. Start out as in like a collapsed elevator that is going down into the mine. Come here, you see door blocking the way. You see these cables laying all over the ground going in different directions. So that hopefully tells the player, by having used the lever and power cables before, that they need to follow those to find the levers. Then as you come around, hit the third lever, you can come up here and get some more oxygen and some more ammo, because that's probably what you need at this point. And you hear the door open after you hit the third lever. Come down here, crouch through here. There's still a few bugs with the enemies, but it's getting there. The one thing I didn't do for this level is make the ending sequence, because we opted to not use it in the level, so I didn't want it interfering with the level sequences in the main game any, so I just didn't do the ending sequence on it. Coming around here, we're coming through the deserted corridor and into the evacuation area of the mine. This is where they had a mass evacuation of the mine. Everything's in turmoil. Player comes out here, gets to a ship, and that is where the level would end. And thank you for watching.
All right. How's it going? My name is Joshua Cologne, and I will be. Let's turn off the music. Oh, that's fine. Okay, so we'll start at, I guess, my level that I did create. So I was mainly in charge of the level design portion of this sprint. But I did add some things here and there. I saw the professor playing our game and noticed that when he went to my level, there was a collision issue with one of the doors in this specific level that I have displaying here. Um, it was activating multiple times based off of, I don't know, something about the collision was just activating it twice. So let me just get to that door real quick and then I'll come back to all this stuff.
Get to the pilot cabin.
Very choppy, I noticed. So it was over here where the professor was trying to just explore this level, and this door, he went through it, and then it kept colliding, like it kept going back and forth, and it wasn't allowing him um to continue forward. So that's why I fixed the collision issue with that one. Um, I did make a respawn trigger, just because if players want to, I guess, explore and then accidentally fall off the map over here, because this is an airlock. So if the player falls off, they'll respawn at the beginning of the level. So that um, there was an issue with the these power cables. For some reason, I don't know what happened, but it wasn't activating these doors. But I fixed it to where I was calling the interface that's implemented into the power cables. So now they do work. And also there was a volume issue with this as well, wherever you placed the sound node within the blueprint. Next one. So I made a light puzzle. Um, so I'll start here. So I created a light puzzle, which I did show in the beginning of this video. So the player cannot open this door without activating the light puzzle. So this will start it. The lights go off, right? And then I made it so where once the player completes the puzzle, the lights will come back on, as shown here, right? And then this door will open.
Get to the pilot cabin.
Oh, there's some audio issues right there. But once the light puzzle is completed as well, then they will also be able to open this door. This door will also be locked prior to completing the light puzzle, but once they complete it, this door will be able to open. Yeah, this, I think so. The lights, yep, bug fixing. Fix that, yep. So I completed, since my level's the last level, I completed a win condition.
Warning, low oxygen.
Uh,
When oxygen is depleted, your life is no longer supported.
so there's a trigger in this room. If they just keep going forward, it'll bring up a little widget that displays whether to restart the game from the beginning, go to the main menu, or the credits. So we'll go to main menu because I did work a little bit on level 2 as well. I helped. This is where This is where this task came into play. I helped merge 3 of our teammates' levels into one. So I created this whole like ship docking area. I did add these checkpoints as well. Of course, this is here, the power cables. So they are working as intended. So yeah, I cut some of the level down because it was this part of the level was actually a lot bigger. And then I just reorganized some of the mechanics to actually flow better. Like in the beginning, it was the power cables. It was just one activating the first door, and then this door needed 2. So, I mean, that's introduction and practice. And technically, this is the first introduction to the light puzzle that I created as well. Because in here, I added the start of the light puzzle. The first time that the light puzzle was introduced. For this part, the player has to possess the ghost in order to continue forward. But I'm just trying to get to where I added the light puzzle and more of the level that I helped merge. I need this memory fragment. Boop, boop, boop. Revive. Boop, boop. Like I said, once the player completes the puzzle, um, the lights will come back on. Over here are the boom. So all the lights will come back on, so the player will be able to see what's going on, and so it's not so dark. Um, but yes, I helped merge 3 levels into this one level. So quit the main menu. So I added some of the IPM to that level, which this task fell into play. Uh, Added obstacles like I rearranged the turrets so that they need to be shot at or destroyed in order for the player to continue going. And that is what I have done for this sprint. As you can see, the light level works, and I had fixed the power cable mechanic and also merging of the levels.
Hello, my name is Melissa Rickball, and I'm going to be going over what I've been working on during this sprint. I had 3 tasks assigned to me. 2 were bugs, 1 game breaking, the other kind of a minor inconvenience, and then a third that was a balance pass. For the first one, we have the bug that is, as the player, I want to be able to fall over and die when I run out of oxygen. The summary line is the player character jumps to world origin and begins to replicate itself. Expected result was the player character falls over and dies. Death screen is displayed, which is the menu asking you if you want to restart, quit. Actual result: when oxygen is empty, the player begins to replicate itself and the game can't be closed. Steps to replicate is just to let the oxygen run out in any way, which could be from running around, using up oxygen, taking damage, which loses oxygen, and also just letting oxygen run out. For severity, it was high, because the replication overloads the program and has to be force closed through the task manager. There is no other way to close the game when this did happen. The game would just, I could just show you right here. I need to restart. Come on, me. It's always faster just to refresh. So the HUD is a little bit different from what you're going to see in game. Updated it, but oxygen right here is about to run out, and this happens. The character jumps to world origin and starts replicating itself over and over, and it gets to the point where there's so many clones being made so fast that the game just overloads and you can no longer press any keys, you can no longer exit out, you can't press escape, you can't even Alt F4 out. The only way to close it was to get the task manager with Control Alt and then delete. When as you can see right here, it gets so slow that you can't even it completely freezes the executable. This actually took a really long time to try and fix. This, I believe, is actually the longest task I had. Yes, by a few minutes. Because this took a really long time to try and figure out. For my subtasks, I had, try to replicate it in different environments, create a BP to manually lose oxygen for testing. I went to each level that we had at the time. We have more now, but I tried to replicate it in different locations, different ways, while doing different actions. Attempted a fix, didn't work. I tried it again. I believe it took, I don't even know, several passes. And then, packaged, tried it again. This was actually the only task, I believe it's this one right here. This was the only task that I actively also kept track of, just because there was so much to go through. I went into, again, like I said, each of our levels, and I tested it out by naturally letting the oxygen run out over time, which takes a long while. By running around and speeding it up a little bit, still takes a little while. And then also using that custom blueprint I made, just so I could lose oxygen really fast by walking over it, and do it that way. I used all 3 different methods to try it on all the different levels we had. And it was, I had to go through, figure out what was causing it. What it was actually something I can't show in the build, but it's fixed now. It was any instance of the player dying was making the ragdoll spawn in, but not despawning it when the player was respawning. So it was just piling up bodies on the floor, overloading the system. That, and if there was any instance of damage near the player when it happened, the player would then continue to take damage, which is what was causing the menu to not be able to open, which was also fixed with several branch checks, some do onces, some checks here and there. But yeah, the player would just constantly be taking damage, constantly replicating itself, and jump. That's what made it jump to World Origin, because the bodies would replicate so fast in one spot that it would no longer have any space to respawn in that point. So it would then jump to World Origin, and even then, it's a little hard to see from the clip, but while off of the platform in World Origin, because the bodies are then piling up over there, and you just start falling. And for some reason, they're invisible. I don't know what was causing it. The invisibility, I mean, for the bodies, but you could actually see the bodies. I can't actually show that off specifically, but obviously while I'm going through the other tasks, the player will die, and we can see that this is no longer an issue. And then immediately, I can jump over to the second bug, which was, as the player, I want to be able to get hit by the hammer only once per impact. The summary line is, the player character gets hit by the hammer when it lands and again when it retracts. The expected results were, the player character gets hit only when the hammer lands, but the actual results were, the player character is taking damage on contact and then again when ending overlap. The steps to replicate are just stand under a hammer as it smashes down, any hammer, anywhere. The severity was medium because it wasn't game breaking, but the player takes 2 instances of damage from the hammer instead of 1. A temporary band-aid fix at the time was just half the hammer's damage, but we did have to figure out an actual solution, and we did. Will this play, or will I have to going to refresh the page? So this is going to actually show the issue not happening, which is when you just walk into the hammer, like the hammer part of it. But if you did walk in further...
Warning, damage critical.
I figured out over here what was causing it is that the hammer would hit you on the way down, and the arm itself that the hammer is attached to would hit you on the way back up because it wasn't registering been hit. To figure that out, of course, it took a little bit of testing, and then I implemented a fix. Tried it, in different situations, getting hit on the top side. Took about an hour. It was fixed. And if we hop into the game, I'm going to do that now. I'm going to just load into one of the mechanics. One of the mechanics levels, just so I can show it off real quick. This is a hammer right there. That now, if I were to walk between these, that was me just walking into the.
When suit is damaged,
would only do 1 instance of damage every time I get hit. And now I'm dead.
Unable to revive. Pilot J. Hall, deceased.
Just gonna restart, just show that again really quickly. Is that if I go to these hammers right here and get smushed, 1 instance,
Warning,
it no longer does the double damage.
When suit is damaged, oxygen leaks from the suit. Increased damage levels.
Go back. Because with the 2 bugs out of the way, and we've seen the death as well, you're going to see it more while I'm talking about the 3rd task. But because we've seen the death, we also know that the replication and death bug is fixed. This is what took up the bulk of my other time, besides trying to fix the bug. It's going to be mechanical arms, damage balance pass. Description: the goal of this task is to have testers go through the same environment several times to see what the damage values of the 3 different arm variants should be. For this balance pass, the testers will run through the exact same setup 3 times with no changes, to see how they adapt or don't by learning attack patterns. This is both to see if they improve at dodging and whether they risk taking damage to speed up completion time after learning the various damage values from taking damage. The tests themselves will have 4 different damage variations for different testers. This actually, I decided while I was testing that I would just have all the testers test all the variants. So it's not for different testers. All the testers went through all 4. We had low damage from everything, high damage from everything, lethal damage on hit, and varying damages for each arm, which were pincer would be low, hammer would be high, saw blade would be lethal. For the data values, it was completion time, which completion time and completion percentages. These 2 I did not actually keep track of because I realized during the test that it doesn't matter. Because initially, I didn't think about this, but the balance test was just to check for damage and how fair the arms are actually to go against. It has nothing to do with completion time. And also the completion percentage I didn't do because I made all the testers go through every variant either way. I had them all go through until they finished. I did not let them stop, so completion percentage is 100. There was no point putting that in the actual data sheet. And then damage taken, also I found while we were doing the testing was irrelevant because I'm not trying to see how much damage exactly it's doing. I'm trying to see if the damage it is doing is fair or not because they do different amounts of damage. The number of deaths I did keep track of because that did seem like it mattered. Unlike damage taken, with deaths, I could figure out, hey, what's causing the issue? Is it how hard it is to actually encounter the arms, or is it how much damage they're doing? And again, the deaths there was some people had few, some people have a lot. It's all based on how well they did against the arms and how they felt about the damage. Adaptability is does it get easier with attempts? I asked this of every tester. I had several different answers. Mostly everyone agreed that it was getting easier with attempts because they were just getting used to the blades and arms movements and what they should or shouldn't be doing. And damage became not that much of an issue, but they did have comments about the damage. So the test was a success. For the questions I had for them, it was which arm felt easier to encounter, as in, again, like I mentioned, how was it going against the arm? Did you feel it was fair? Did you fear you were going to take a lot of damage? Would you risk damage for speed? Would you be willing to take a couple of hits if it meant that you could get it done faster? Was it worth the risk just to get done with the level, even if it meant that now you have less health for whatever comes next? How would you rate the lethality? This was per damage type. So I asked them if, on low, if they felt like the low damage was good, it was fair. I asked them on medium if it was good. I asked them on high, same thing, if it was good, if it was what they thought it would be. Did it feel fair? Again, I wanted to make sure to get their comments, their feelings on, what it was that they struggled with if they did. Was it how to deal with them, or was it how much damage they're doing? And did you feel you were in control? This was more about player agency. I wanted to make sure to get their feedback on whether or not it's up to the player to decide if they're going to take a risk or not. It's up to the player to see if they're going to take damage or not, where they're going to go, how they're going to do it, or are they just being forced into it. And then the results were to decide which damage values fared best and should be implemented. I did have, just in case, if results are mixed, a fifth variation will be applied and tested using data from the previous tests. That was not necessary. We got our answer, we got our results. It was conclusive. And to decide if ARM variants can be properly IPM'd and implemented as it is, or if they need adjustments to speed, movement, and interaction. This went fine. Everyone was fine with the way the arms themselves were. And then obviously I had to set up the encounters, I had to set up the levels, I had to come up with 3 different damage values. I gathered my testers, I had them, tell me how they felt about it. I implemented changes, tested again, made it into the build, tested again, asked them again. And that is in this data sheet right here. I tested with 10 different people. All my friends, this was all done in the same room with the people, so it was done in person. I had them write down their own responses to the questions, so these are not, paraphrased by me, or I did clean it up for apostrophes and whatnot, but this is all their words. And then I also had their gaming experience. I wanted to know if they're a casual gamer, hardcore gamer, beginner, which I think I only had one, Antonio, yet. And also, John specifically, I had it highlighted so I don't forget. He does game a lot, but I wanted to make the distinction that he games on mobile a lot. He is not a console or PC gamer, so this was a different experience for him. And then I also had them choose their difficulty. I did have everyone go through all 4, but it was done in a loop. So if you started on medium, I would have you go to hard, and then varying, and then low. If you started on high, varying, low, medium, in that order. So everyone got to pick their own first difficulty. I have the number of deaths they had. There was, again, it felt like the people that were more used to gaming died more. That has nothing to do with the deaths, but I believe it was just them being like overconfident. Because the people that aren't like that hardcore had less deaths, and then obviously I have their responses right here. I forgot to attach this, I believe. Yes. I'll be attaching it to the actual task itself after this video. But yes, these were the results. And then if I go into the game itself, I can go ahead and show you what I mean. So this was the level. It's not overly long. It's not overly complicated. It's a straight shot through with all 3 of the arms and the damage they do. I had the only instructions I gave them was to turn around and they can interact with the damage control box to change, to pick their initial difficulty that they felt they would be comfortable with, and how to crouch. Because some of the blades can be avoided by crouching. I'm going to go ahead and start it on low in case I make any mistakes, but yes, it does cycle through all. And again, just to show off that the death bug has been fixed.
Warning. When suit is damaged, to revive, oxygen leaks from the suit. Increased damage level.
So we can go ahead and die without any problems. Respawn, no issues. And that was on high. Just go ahead and show off medium as well.
Warning,
it does half your health.
Critical. When suit is damaged,
and then low
oxygen leaks from the suit.
Is obviously the lowest, which is what I'll be using to run through this.
Unable to revive. Pilot J. Hull, deceased.
Alright, so the actual test I had them go through was this. Again, only instructions I gave were how to change difficulty to pick their initial one and how to crouch. So it's to see if it's worth like running through these instead of trying to dodge. If it's worth like taking that risk. Then go ahead and again, this blade over here, I can just crouch under. Or you can wait for this one to go by and do it that way. Ow. This can all be done without taking any damage at all. I'm just not being very good at it. You can jump over the blades. You can also get under these ones. I'm trying not to get hit, but I'm not very good at it. There we go. One more hit and I'm dead. But yes, this is the next part. Again, I've randomized how they fall, so I just had them like get used to the pattern and try to figure out how to get through. Oh, and I failed. This is also pretty good. This is a pretty good, what was I thinking of? Example of how it went for a lot of them on their first run through. Which is a shame, because I'm the one who made this, so I should know how to get through, but I still get hit. No.
Warning.
Again, this is just me not being good. That right there, I died on purpose just so I could restart.
Increased damage levels increases.
Alright. I want to make this as natural as possible, so I'm trying not to like have cuts in the video. So again, just gonna wait for that blade to go by. And you can see the damage. On low, it's not that bad. I did take several hits before and got outfound. Oh, see? You can get through there without taking damage. And there without damage. And again, yeah, just gonna see like what the pattern is. Go ahead and wait for that one. And I'm through. And then we have the handles, obviously, that I had to fix. If you have enough stamina, you can just run right by. Then there we go. And that was what the test was. The door closes behind you, you can't get out. I don't know why that did that. What? Oh well. It's for a test anyway. The door's not part of it. And I had them just look at this. Thanks for the test. Now the interrogation, which is where I asked them all the questions. And again, it looks rough because I wasn't trying to hide anything or make it look pretty. This was all just for the test. If I go ahead and get out of here. The last part that I would need to go through is just I had their comments. I don't know if I'm going to go through all of them, but I might. And, I just asked them the questions. Which arm felt easiest to encounter? Muid, who is also my cousin, had this to say. The hammer felt the easiest to avoid being hit, so damage wasn't too much of an issue. Besides, the last part of the bridge got knocked off regardless of damage. That part that I just, waited one by one to get through, he got hit and knocked off the bridge. He didn't like that. Nothing to do with the damage. Would you risk damage for speed? Yeah, but only for low and medium. I was too afraid to take risks with higher damage. Because I believe, I don't remember the exact number because there were so many to go through. I believe 4 or 5 even of his deaths were at the top with the moving blades that get launched. So this is actually a sentiment that I think a lot of them shared, is like on high they don't feel like taking risks because it's too much damage. How would you rate the lethality? I think the low and medium feel pretty okay. The high one only gives you one chance unless they're supposed to be deadly, I guess. Again, this is just whatever. I had them type their own responses. Did it feel fair? For the most part, yeah. Did you feel you were in control? Mostly, besides the launching blade. There we go, I knew it. Mostly, besides the launching blades part. Gotta keep moving. Don't think that's a bad thing, though. We had Ramel, one of the testers, avid gamer, plays a lot, happens to be my best friend. Which arm felt easiest to encounter? The boxes falling from the sky. Just gotta move out the way quick. I did tell him that it wasn't boxes falling out of the sky, but oh well. Would you risk damage for speed? I kept trying, but nah. Yes, so Ramel actually had the most deaths out of anyone. And I believe, well, not believe, I know because he kept trying to, I don't want to say speed run, but he kept trying to run through it like quickly, trying to prove something, I don't know. But these were natural tests. I didn't want to intervene or guide them in any way. So it was his choice. He died a lot. He did not feel it was fair. He's also one of the few people who said it doesn't get easier. I believe it's 3 people. Dave only said unsure because I asked him the question and he wasn't sure of what I meant. He said he went through the level and it felt fine. That, he wasn't really paying attention if it got easier or not. He also has, I believe, the least deaths. He played the slowest, most careful. How would you rate the lethality? Too high, everything just kills you straight away. What is this, Dark Souls? Again, he did start off on high. I had him test all the other ones, but he stuck with this. And did it feel fair? Nah. Did you feel you were in control? Not at all. Again, there's a lot of responses here. I'm going to go ahead and attach this to the task itself, so it's there for the read. But that is everything I worked on for this sprint. I fixed a game-breaking bug that was both crashing the game itself and causing a lot of issues. I fixed a bug that was minor with the hammer, just to get it working as it should. Right here, about an hour. And I did the balance pass. The result was, I don't think I wrote it down anywhere, but in the current build for anything besides the test level is set that way now, where it's low damage on everything, because that's what everyone preferred mostly, low to medium damage. And then there is a toggle in there for when we're designing our levels to make certain ones lethal, just for points in the game where the player should know how to dodge, should know what to do, and if they mess up, they should be punished. But that is everything that I have been working on for this sprint.